This section is on graphing. We will be talking about finding intercepts, graphing horizontal and vertical lines, and using the midpoint formula. This section we will be talking about how to find intercepts. The intercepts when graphing our line are the points on the graph where the line intersects the x-axis and the y-axis. To find the x-intercept, we let y equals 0. And to find the y-intercept, we let x equals 0. For example, if we're asked to find the x and y-intercepts of 3x minus y equals 12, we first want to let y equal 0. If y equals 0, we plug that in for y into the equation. We have 3x minus 0 equals 12. When that's simplified, we're left with 3x equals 12. To solve for x, we need to divide both sides by 3. And x equals 4. So our x-intercept is 4, 0. Next, let x equal 0. We need to plug 0 into the equation for x. So we have 3 times 0 minus y equals 12. After solving for y, we're left with y equals negative 12. 0, negative 12 is the y-intercept. Next, let's talk about graphing equations that are horizontal lines. An equation in the form y equals a, where a is some number, is a horizontal line. Remembering that ax plus by equals c, if we're given y equals 3, we can also write that equation as 0x plus y equals 3. Now for any value of x that we choose, the equation will still be y equals 3. So we have a table here at the bottom. If we plug in negative 1 for x into the equation, we're left with 0 plus y equals 3, or just y equals 3. So this point from the origin, we would go to the left 1 and up 3. So we plot this point. Next, we have x equals 0. Again, if we plug that into the equation, we're left with 0 plus y equals 3. This plot on the graph would be here. And if we continue to do so for other values of x, we find that this line is a horizontal line at y equals 3. Now, instead of talking about horizontal lines, we are going to try to graph vertical lines. Now, remember that ax plus by equals c is still the form to use. If we're given x equals negative 2, we can also write that equation as x plus 0y equals negative 2. Again, like we did for the horizontal lines, if we plug in any value for y, the equation will still be x equals negative 2. So let's try to plug in negative 1 into the equation. We're left with x plus 0 equals negative 2, or x equals negative 2. So if we plot this point, it would be here. Next, let's try to plug in y equals 0. Again, the equation we'll be left with is x plus 0 equals negative 2. And this point will be here. If we continue to do so for other values of y, we will find that the line is at x equals negative 2. Moving on, let's talk about the midpoint formula. If there is a line segment with endpoints x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2, its midpoint m can be found using the following formula. X sub 1 plus x sub 2 divided by 2, and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 all divided by 2. The numbers 1 and 2 attached with the x and y values are called subscripts. They are simply used to represent different x and y values. Looking back at the midpoint formula, this x-coordinate is found by adding the two x values and dividing it by 2. So if we were to draw a line from the two exponents and divide it by 2, that point would be halfway between that line. And that gives us our x value. Let's do an example. Find the midpoint of the segment with the given endpoints, -2, 8, and 3, -4. Now remember, the midpoint formula is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divided by 2, and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 all divided by 2. If we plug in the x values into the equation, and then the y values into the equation, we're left with -2 plus 3 all divided by 2, and 8 plus -4 divided by 2. When simplified, that equals -1/2 and 4/2, or just -1/2 and 2. That is the midpoint of the segment with the given endpoints, -2, 8, and 3, -4.